Welcome back to In-Game Live All Access, hour 2 of the program here, where we are chatting about the 152nd Open Championship at Royal Troon. There's a lot of action underway out there. I'm Charlie Hume. I'm the co-host of The Smiley Show alongside Smiley Kaufman, who is out traipsing around Royal Troon watching some major championship golf on a Sunday. But I am thrilled now to be joined by a guy, Bill Haas, who is not only a phenomenal player, a 2011 FedEx Cup champion, a 6-time winner on the PGA Tour, and a guy who finished top 10 the last time we played the Open here at Troon in 2016. But he's also a family friend. Bill, it's great to see you. I know my granddad and your dad are big buddies. In fact, we were talking on the break about the Haas Family Golf Center, I believe it's called, down there in Greenville, North Carolina, where not so long ago I was taking lessons from your brother, Jay Jr. So appreciate you making the time to come hang here on a Sunday, Bill. I think I got to laugh a little bit because I think the last time we saw each other in person, I think I shot a roughly 1 million at Chanticleer in your cart. You had to witness that debacle that day, but put a lot of work in since then, Bill. We're down to like a tidy 3.3 now. So I'm going to have to get like a redemption shot so you can see that I'm not the awful golfer I was on that day.
Yeah, for sure. Chanticleer, they're about to do a renovation here, so you got about another year before you can come back and redeem yourself. We'll do it. We'll do it when they open back up.
That's perfect. That's perfect. It gives you some time to really kind of work up some confidence and, get some notes on the reno at Chanticleer. So I love it. Well, Bill, the place I think that it's worth starting, obviously, is 2016 at Troon, right? So great top 10 finish for you at 2 under. You were only 4 shots off JB Holmes, who finished in 3rd place. Now, here's a question I have for you. What sport were Henrik and Stenson and Phil Mickelson playing, and how do they finish at 20 and 17 under respectively? Because looking back at that leaderboard in preparation for this week, you're just thinking, how'd they do it?
Yeah, I don't know. I remember that course. It seemed like every tee shot for me, I was fitting it in to a tiny area, and it was not unplayable, but you were making par at best if you didn't hit it in the fairway. And Phil's not known to be the straightest of drivers. Henrik was, but the scores they were shooting just shows how good they are. I mean, that in those conditions, and they obviously must have been fueling off of each other and just kind of playing match play, especially down there on the back nine. And instead of making pars, they were making birdies. Those are amazing scores. I remember thinking those were 2 of the best scores, in major history when they did it.
It has to be. I mean, just unbelievable playing in that condition with that sort of a test. And I think we've heard a lot this week about how you can't really prepare for an Open Championship, right? I mean, for example, on the practice rounds they're playing on Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm told there was more of like that north-northwest wind. Bryson's drove like 4 greens on the front 9. Then they come out Thursday, Friday. It's more south-southwest, so the difficulty of the 9s flips, and you got guys who are shooting just a million and missing the cut. They're just shockers of names. When you were coming into that week, did you have a game plan in mind, and how much did that change according to the wind direction and weather?
Yeah, I always went over a few days before, and some buddies would come maybe, and we would go play other courses. Try to find famous courses that played on that the British would be played on, and just have fun, and just to kind of get used to mainly the time change and a little bit of links golf, and just try to enjoy myself. But I don't know that there is a recipe. Certainly Rory, he's my pick almost every week. The other guys that miss the cut that typically wouldn't, it doesn't make much sense, but I think it does show you that those courses seem to, it allows other people in the mix, I guess, because it does seem over here in the States on the PGA Tour, you can pretty much pick and choose your 3 or 4 guys at the top every time, and impressively they show up every time. And it seems like the British Open allows for, there's 3 guys on the top 10 currently that I don't necessarily even know, and I'm around golf quite a bit, so it just kind of, I don't really know why that happens, or how you prepare for it, or what those guys did better. What has Billy Horschel done this far, so far better than the rest of the people? I don't know that that's the case. It's just maybe a few bounces here or there have gone his way. It's a very challenging setup, but also fair in a sense for everyone.
I love hearing you talk about going over early just to kind of immerse yourself in links golf and get a feel for different courses. And I was actually just over with my dad for the first time experiencing links golf in Scotland. What are some of your other favorites that you played as part of these sort of prep tours, but just, kind of like you said, just to go have fun and experience it?
They're all fun, and it's kind of dependent on weather. There were days I'd get
Yeah.
over there early, and I'm looking at my buddies like, "Are we sure we're going out and playing in this? This is just supposed to be fun." And I say we go to the pub for a few hours and call it quits. But um, I don't know. I mean, I think Carnoustie, St. Andrews, certainly that was my best open there at Troon, and so that place is special to me. I actually like St. George's down there in the off the English coast there towards London, and just the towns that they're in. I think I enjoyed that more than anything. Just kind of being in those old towns that um, actually have history versus the American history and old courses. You might have one 100 years old. They're over there. They're 400 years old. It's pretty amazing.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, just staying in St. Andrews for like the last 5 days of our trip, and you're just looking around at some of these structures and just thinking, what a cool, rich in history sort of place. So, we talked a bit about that today, Gary Williams and others, about why it's worth going and doing that trip. But you're hearing to hear from Bill Haas as well, so worth it to go over there and do it. I'm curious, Bill, because here's a perspective that probably only you can provide: is that there's been some criticism of the setup this week. I mean, it's which I find delightful as a fan. You're seeing Siwoo Kim ace that par 3 17th at 238 yards early in the day with the long iron in his hand. Then later in the day, you have Scotty Scheffler hitting a 3-wood. And then finally, the last group comes through, and Shane Lowry and Dan Brown are hitting driver there. I mean, do you, separating the fan perspective from the player perspective, do you take issue with some of the tough setup? Or is it like, this is Open Championship week, you just got to sign up for this?
Uh, I don't know. I think if I was playing, I'd be critical of the setup. But I think I'm with you as a fan. I think that's pretty cool seeing Shane Lowry not being scared to pull out driver, and in the last group of the day, and try to execute the shot he needed to hit. And he figured 3-wood would probably get up in the wind and not get there, and that's what he had to do. I look at that tee shot when they show the shot from behind, and it shows the shot tracer. And when I'm thinking to myself, man, I would hit this ball. I might hit this ball right of the railroad tracks, right, into that wind. It just looks so difficult. And I think as a fan, I like watching the carnage, just like I think what you're saying.
Bill, I think there were a couple of days with 30-mile-per-hour left-right winds, and I think I hit some balls that might still be spinning up in the air over there in Scotland. Might not have landed yet. It's wild, some of those conditions. I mean, even like the approach that Shane had into 18 yesterday, that he hits over in the bleachers. He just knows it. As soon as he hits, he's trying to cut it, and it's just gone. So, I find it delightful, but I can understand how these guys might say, well, hold on a second, I'd love to play a little bit better. We have less than a minute here, so just quickly today, names at the top of the leaderboard. Who do you like to get it done at the 152nd Open Championship?
I've just watched the first couple of holes here, and then yesterday I thought Billy Horschel was very impressive. His up and
Yeah.
downs, his putting. He had a handful of 4, 5, 6 footers that didn't leave the middle of the hole, and I think he just looks solid, and not. And I don't know how to explain that. I think he's going to be in the mix. But now all of a sudden, I think he just bogeyed a hole number 4 maybe, and he was only two ahead of Scheffler, Rahm, guys that have been there a bunch and won. And I think that means something, especially when you get to 10, 11, 12. Uh,
Yeah.
if you make pars
Yeah.
there, the 5 under is going to win. And if I could see even par, being in the mix by the end.